How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we are going over my deck list for my Yellow Kidku deck that I took to the webcam locals, and also the list I would potentially take to finals if I didn't have my deck already sorted. And as per normal with these deck profiles, we're going to get into the list, go through it bit by bit, show off the Z deck as well and the side deck, and go for the turn progression, as well as that. Also note any specific combos and plays and stuff as well. But before we do get into the video, feel free to like the video if you do enjoy my content, these videos, the deck profiles and other series on my channels. Also do feel free to comment down below anything you want to comment, if it's asking a question about the list I didn't cover in full, or by asking for anything you want on the channel. I'll do my best to look through it, read it and reply, or try and get that whatever's requested added. And as well, feel free to subscribe, keeps you updated with my videos as and when they drop, and if you get a notification bell you get alerts as when they do drop as well. And every 100 subs we do a giveaway. Currently we're going to have a 500 sub giveaway after finals, so next week, as we just hit that, and that's halfway to my target, because our goal is to get to 1,000 subs, which we hope to get there soon. And in my 500 sub giveaway I'll be detailing what I'll be doing when I do, if I do get to my goal of 1,000 subs. So without further ado, let's get in the video and check out the list. So for the last two webcam locals that I host, I gave it a choice to my Discord in what to play. So I let them pick between playing a fun deck that I just want to play, have fun, enjoy it, casually play, or pick for me a competitive deck to play, and the competitive deck would be a list, well, a deck I would potentially take the finals and have the list as well. And like with any time, take a deck to the webcam locals to do a deck profile after to go through it, so if anybody's interested in watching it play, interested in the list, they can see it and give it a try themselves. And for Yellow Kidku, this is one that came out in the Zenkai series, so it's one of the starter deck ones, and it's one of the better ones as well, and it's quite a lot of fun. I've got a nice bit of consistency, and I feel it could be a potentially strong matchup in the meta to help deal with the top decks and everything as well. So going in for the lead first, so always nice to start with the leader, because that way you understand a little bit more about how the deck functions and stuff by going for the leader first. And with the leader is just got an activate main on its front side, so just an activate main once per turn, where you get a look at the top 10 cards of your deck, so up to 10 cards from the top of your deck, and add up to one yellow earthling only card with an entry cost of 1, or one yellow unison with a specified cost of 1 among them to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So that allows you to look for quite a few cards. So you get a lot of the, you can get either your unison you play in the deck, your 1-drop that you mainly use to gain advantage and get some extra pluses, and as well as that it gives you access to some kind of nice tech cards as well that you can grab, which is pretty cool. And looking at top 10 cards of your deck means you're looking at over a quarter of your deck, or I think over a quarter, just over a quarter of your deck, because as long as you keep it to 50 you're normally down to less than 40 cards in your deck, so you're at least hitting a quarter of your deck to look through for it, and you've got 12 targets in the deck for it as well. So that's all you do, but so you don't need to attack to do anything as well, so you don't have to give your opponent resources or allow them to Z-charge in your turn, which is nice. And then the Awaken is very easy to do as well, and it's got an alternative one which is nice to have on most leaders, and that is if your life is at 4 or less, or you have one or more yellow cards in play with Bulma or Yamcha in their card names, so it just has to be in the card name, so I can even count the unison as well. And then you draw one card, untap one energy, take your life down to 6 if it's at higher, and then flip over. And then when you flip over, you go from childhood Goku to still being childhood Goku, but now instead of being just a Saiyan, you're now a Saiyan and Great Ape, so you become the monkey. And now you've got a different kind of effect. Now you've still got an activate effect, but now it's activate battle to help gain Z energy quite easily. And also you have a auto, which is how you gain advantage, and this can gain quite a bit of advantage or a little bit, but it is a little bit of an issue if in given situations where you need to have something else to actually get the full effect of the auto, because the cost of the auto is to choose one of your cards and switch it to rest mode, so you need to rest one of your own cards. And that could be, and just because it's just any card, it could be energy, it could be battle card, unison, you name it, fill card if you have a fill card, Switch one of your cards to rest mode as the cost, and then the rest of the effect is when this card attacks, you choose all your opponent's non-energy cards, switch into rest mode, so you get to rest anything that's not energy or doesn't have barrier. And then when you do, you get to choose one or two effects. You either draw one card or add up to one yellow Great Ape Son Goku childhood card from your deck to your hand and shuffle your deck. So you either draw one or just add an ape. So quite easy. Just rest. Like, it's nice that you get to rest unisons or put things rested, so you can do some nice shenanigans. And it's one of the reasons I really like this deck, because of this interaction with Zenkai Z deck we get in a bit. The event battle is just literally once per turn. If it's your turn, use up to one mono yellow Earthling card with 5k combo power from your drop in a combo with the skills to get for the battle. So essentially, free combo of 5k from your drop once per turn during your turn, which is really nice. So easy able to ramp up that Z energy quite well. And that's it for the leader. So quite basic, just easy advantage on the front side, easy awakening whenever you want, because you're normally going to be grabbing something off the front side to put down and awaken, and then being able to rest everything means you don't have to worry about blockers or anything like that. It's quite nice. And even, yeah, just drawing a card or searching for an ape is very useful as well, because there's some good cards in the deck. And then that brings us to now the list. So we'll start off with some of the main things you can be searching for your lead. So starting off, that will be beginning with your unison, being Bulma, Stalwart, Adventurer. So this is a really nice one, helps you gain some nice advantage. It's only a 1 cost unison, so it's a 1 specified cost with 1k power, so quite weak, but it can gain quite a few markers because it's got a +2 marker skill, and also give you some good advantage. So a nice little permanent where if your leader is if your leader is this leader, your yellow non-Great Ape Son Goku childhood cards in your battle area gain 5k power, and that's just permanently during either player's turn. So it's 15. They can make you 10ks, 15ks, and just either your opponent's turn and your turn, which is great. And then the +2 is how you gain some good advantage for this and put out some nice little threats, and how you get like Weenie Rush with this deck, because it's an activate main if your leader is a yellow Z leader or a yellow Great Ape Son Goku childhood card. So you need to be awakened at the very least, or a Z lead to trigger this. And you play up to one yellow non-Great Ape Son Goku childhood card with entry cost of 3 or less from your hand. Then your opponent, so you just get to play out one of those. So it's really nice. In fact, you get to play just a free drop Goku, and there's a really good one in the deck that we've had since set 3, because this is a reboot of the other leader from I think set 4, I think it was. And you've got an ever marker skill that is quite useful as well, which is an auto -1. When your opponent attacks, switch this card to active mode and it gains blocker for the turn, because sometimes you might rest this card for certain effects, and it gives you an extra blocker if you need be. But remember, if you do give it a blocker and then your opponent attacks into it before you use blocker, if it loses the mark, it will lose the skill from that effect. So watch out for that. We play 4 copies of it because we want to make sure we don't try to less the whiff on the top 10, because the top 10 has a chance to whiff. It's very rare, but when it does, it doesn't feel good, especially when you're looking at top 10. So we play 4 copies of this because it's a really good unison. And then we play 4 copies of Yamcha Dastardly Bandit. Now this is a really nice card that you can gain some good advantage from, and it's mainly going to be the one that you rest with the lead just because of its skills. So it's a cantrip, well it's a searcher, not a cantrip really, where you get, when it's played, because it's a 1 cost 4k with barrier, so it's got that protection. Most of this deck has barrier, so it's got a nice protection. It's very hard to interact with because yellow gets quite a lot of good barrier cards. And it's also for a searcher is when this card is played, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and add to either 1 Son Goku childhood card or 1 Bulma card, both yellow, or 1 unison card with specified cost of 1 amount to your hand and shuffle your deck. So you can add either not never copy yourself, you either get add a Bulma, the Bulma unison, and every Bulma card in the deck, or a Kid Goku card, doesn't matter cost, or the unison to your hand, which is very nice. It's a nice little searcher to go with it, and this is mainly going to be the first one you want to grab from the lead if you can, to play out that turn 1, play it out, get some, find some more cards, and have this ready to rest with your awakened leader. Because its second auto is limit 1, where if your leader is a yellow Z leader or a yellow Son Goku child card, so basically this leader or Z leader, when this card is switched to rest mode by one of your leader skills, switch this card to active mode. Then choose one of your yellow Son Goku childhood cards in rest mode that hasn't attacked this turn, switch to active mode, and if you do that, you draw a card. So if you've got a card you haven't attacked with, which is easy enough to get out, which we'll go over in a sec, then you get to well, you basically you rest this with the leader on its awakened side to draw a card or set for a great ape. Then restand. Then the Yamcha uses effect to restand itself. And if you've got a Goku in your rest mode as childhood, that doesn't attack this turn, you can restand it and draw a card to gain some extra value, which is really nice. There's a good way to get value out of this, but we're not playing it in this list. But there's a chance that I could change it. But it is a pretty good card. Once again, we play 4 copies. We want to make sure we've got targets to not whiff off the top 10 of the lead. Then we have 2 copies of Bulma Searching for Adventure. Now this I used to have at 4 copies, but I found it's never really that great. It's not that useful. It's just there for a cantrip and not a Z charge. It has some nice effects. As I said, it's a cantrip where when it's played, its first auto is draw a card, and it's got a second auto which can help you filter those extra cards at your hand, going to drop to make your Mecha Frieza a bit more alive if you haven't charged them. With the second auto, once per turn, discard 1 card from your hand. When this card is switched to rest mode, by one of your skills, you draw 1 card and switch this card to active mode, so you can filter through your deck a little bit more because this deck doesn't draw a huge amount. And yeah, filter some dead cards at your hand or even extra cards in the drop that aren't going to be useful. And it's got a permanent where if your leader is a yellow Z card with Son Goku in its card name, again it's 14k making it 15k, so if you go into your Z lead, this becomes a 15k, which is quite nice. But I only put it at 2 because it still has its uses in this deck, and it's still searchable, but it's just it's not as great, so I put it down to 2. And what I replaced the other 2 copies, because I like to have 12 copies of the other card to search with the lead, is 2 copies of Chi-Chi Melee Matriarch. So this is a card I've decided to put in main deck because, as you probably know from watching my videos, if you do, I really dislike blue. Well, not blue in general, really more like how people play blue, just like playing not to win and just stall out is just how I've experienced most people playing blue. And I like some blue hate in my decks, and if I can main it, I will definitely go ahead and main it. And this will be really nice one to punish people or make it so they can't get the full use out of their Dimension Magics. And once again, like with most of the cards in this deck, it's got Barrier. It's a cantrip. When you play it, you draw 1 card, and it's got that effect where if your opponent uses a counter skill to switch their energy to active mode, you then get to place one of the energy and one of the life in the drop area. So, and this is nice and searchable off the lead as well, because it's a 1-drop Earthling only battle card. So that's a nice little target you can have for it. And those are the 12 targets I have for searching off the front of my lead. And then we go to the other targets and more the Goku cards you can play off the Unison and other Goku cards and the apes. So starting off with 4 copies of Explosive Spirits on Goku. So this is the Goku we've had since set 3. Used to be really good back when we had Sugesh live as well, because Sugesh could play this in mid-combat and then have a little end the combat if it's a battle card by just popping the card. Because this guide is a 10k free drop with blocker, so it's got a defense, and barrier, it's got a protection, and he's got 2 nice little autos. First one is when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it, so a nice bit of removal in this, which is really good. And this is why the card was really good back when we had Sugesh, because you play it out, combo out to play it out, pop their card they swing with, and that's ended, and you've got a barrier blocker as well to defend yourself. And then the other nice effect is the Ever Auto, which only turns, which is card to active mode, so you can play it out from the Unison, potentially pop something, swing with it, and turn it restands, and it's a 15k blocker because the Unison's giving it an extra 5k. And being yellow, you can quite defend things quite easily, and the more of these you pop out, the more little 15k swings you have that then restand that, be able to block at the end of the turn. And then to go with that, we got the Ever Goku, being Son Goku to Lands Unknown. This is the Ever one that came in the starter deck. So the Unison, Yamcha, and this Goku all came in the starter deck. The Bulma came in the main set to support the deck, because every starter deck from the Zenkai Series around set 18 gained 2 cards in the main deck to help support the starter. And this Son Goku to Lands Unknown, this is a nice little one. It's got unique, so you can only control 1 at a time, but that's not much of an issue. And it's got barrier and dual attack, so just like Goku is going to have that 5k from the Unison and be able to attack twice as well, handle that protection and barrier. It's got a nice little permanent as well to get your apes out, which is if your opponent has 2 or more energy, and you reduce the skill cost of evolved skills on yellow Son Goku childhood cards in your hand by you reduce the skill the skill cost of evolved skills on Yellow Son Goku childhood cards in your hand by 1 yellow and 1 of any color energy, so 2 energy, 1 at least being yellow, and if the card names don't match any names of any cards in your battle area. So essentially it reduced the evolved cost by 2, 1 yellow, 1 colorless, on any Son Goku childhood cards that have evolved in your hand, as long as you don't have one already in your battle area. So if you've got, because there's one which we're going to see is the ape, if you don't have an ape on board, you can reduce the cost of the evolved ape in your hand by 2. And this card is very easy to come out, and a good reason why we still run to it at Bulma, because the activate main, which is limit 1, for 1 yellow, switch one of your battle cards or unisons, both yellow and with Bulma in its card name, to rest mode, so either be the unison or the Bulma searching for adventure, and you better play this card from your hand. So you just got to rest one of the either the unison or the 1-drop Bulma, play this out and get a dual attacking 15k. And a card you're normally going to be evolving on top of it, using its permanent, is the Great Ape Son Goku Instincts Unleashed. This is the ever card that this deck got in the main set of set 18 to support the starter deck, and this is a really nice one. It's a 5-drop, 25k double striker with blocker, so this is one of the few cards in the deck that doesn't have barrier, and its evolved skills is limit 1, so you can only drop one of these a turn, and its evolve cost is free, but as I said, if you don't have one of these already on board, that 4-drop Goku reduces it by 2, so you just have to play 1 yellow to evolve it, and the evolve skill also involves you drawing a card, so that's quite nice, and you just do it on any Son Goku childhood card. And it's got 2 nice little autos. The first one is removal, in the fact that when this card is played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. Yellow is has a very easy skill, especially with lead, to rest things, so you can easily get something in rest mode to pop it with this. And it's got another skill, which is auto limit 1. If your leader is a yellow Son Goku childhood card or yellow Z leader, so basically this leader or the Z lead, when this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, you play up to 1 yellow Son Goku childhood card with entry cost of 4 or less that doesn't have Great Ape from your drop area, so either of those 2 cards, and it doesn't negate skills that it brings out, so you can either bring back out, you can either play it on top of the Son Goku to lands unknown, and then when this gets removed by a skill, play back out the card underneath it, or you can get out the Explosive Spirit and then still have his auto to trigger, well, have it as a blocker and his auto trigger to kill something in rest mode, which is nice when if they swing with something, and remove this when they swing with a battle card, get play out the Explosive Spirit, KO the card and then the battle, and you're good. So we play 4 copies of those because you want some good targets for it, and it's a very good card, and if it gets removed you just play another one and keep going like that. So that's the main core of the deck, with the archetype and stuff. There is the 8-drop Goku Champion Pack, but I don't play that card because it just doesn't feel useful. It doesn't have any protection to play, especially when its evolve cost is so steep. Even being reduced by lands unknown, it's still quite steep for what it does, and it doesn't gain as much benefit nowadays with the deck. So I decided to not to cut that from the deck, to keep the deck at 50 as well. I think it's a 50, it should be. The next card we have is 4 Mecha Frieza. So a nice little floodgate. This card's a little bit better now in the format because, as you know, with the top 2 decks, they are both red, and they used to have Resolve Renewed, which just for 1 stopped Frieza from hitting down, so you paid 1 energy to try and stop it. They stopped you from doing that, and then they just continue going on and aggroing you. But now with that gone, they've got to try and use other ways to try and set up and get a counterplay that can stop this from coming out. But because they don't have them as easy of a one as in Resolve Renewed, this card has a better time of coming down, like other floodgates against red, and just a nice one, just put a cost to make it so that your opponent has a harder time pushing through, meaning you have to rest a card to do it. Some decks might have an easier time if they've got things like fill card stuff on board, they can just rest, or easy little guys they can just bring out and rest so they can attack with things. But most decks don't, so it's a nice little floodgate. So we play 4 copies because it's just that great, and we play enough extra cards to facilitate that. Then we play 2 copies of Swift Retaliation Cooler, a nice little counter. This is one of the counters are very strong effects, and yellow has a really nice one. It does cost 3, but that's not too bad when you're pushing through their expensive negate, like if they're playing 2 for a topo, like playing Baby Hatch or some really big floodgate you want to stop. Just paying 3 energy to stop that is fine, and it establishes you on board a 15k that also draws a card, because it's got a nice little auto of when you play this card you draw 1 card, and if you've got 6 or more cards in rest mode you draw 1 card. So you potentially draw 2 off this, which is quite nice, but at least you draw 1 to place yourself in hand, while also establishing 50k and stopping their counter to keep pushing for that swing as well. So play a nice 2 copies of it, because it's just that great a card, and this allows you to see it when you need it, at least 1 copy. Then we have 2 copies of Lord Slug Evil Vader and 3 copies of Lord Slug Super Namekian. This is the nice little slug package in the deck. That is a nice one that Yellow has, just to kind of deny your opponent from being able to gain resources and make it harder for them to gain cards to deal with your kind of aggression you can put out. And we play a 2-3 split because the 3-drop has an effect to be able to play out the 1-drop, which we'll go over in a sec. And the 1-drop is how you go into the 3-drop, because with the 1-drop is just a cantrip, because the first auto is when you play this card, draw 1. And it's got a nice little activate main where just once per turn, for 1 yellow, you choose 1 of 2 effects. And you're normally going to go with the first one, which is choose up to 1 Slug's Army with original energy cost of 3 or less in your hand, play it, then place this card in its owner's drop area. So you're normally going to be paying that 1 to sack this card off by playing out the 3-drop. And the other effect that could become useful at certain times is choose one of your opponent's battle cards with rest modes, but you don't really need that in this deck because your leader can just switch everything to rest mode, and if it's got barrier, neither the leader or itself is going to be able to rest it. And then the slug is a really nice one because it also has barrier like most of the cards in the deck, but it has unique, so you can only control 1 at a time. And its permanent is how it's put pressure on your opponent by its bond 2, just having this plus another card, so you're normally going to have at least a Yamcha on board. That's going to stay and stick, so you should always have that bond 2 alive. And then just while this card is in rest mode, your opponent can add cards from their deck to their hand using non-leader card skills. And normally if you've got this on board, you can swing this first to make sure it's then straight away in rest for the first attack to shut off their drawing outside their leader. And the way it plays a 1-drop from deck is using activate main by paying just 1 yellow. If your leader card is yellow or a Slug's Army card, which ours is yellow, and you discard this card from your hand, you get to play up to 1 Slug's Army card with energy cost of 1 from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So that's why I play more copies of the 3-drop than the 2-drop, because if you've got 2 3-drops, you can then play out the 1-drop, then use the 1-drop to play out the other 3-drop in your hand. And so that's the little slug package to help take away draws from your opponent. And then we've got 3 copies of our super combo, Krillin Moments Before Comeback. This is the better, well, probably the set of super combos that every colour has, and the best one really for the deck. Because it's just one of those ones where once your life's at 4 or less, then you get the bottom deck any card from your hand to then draw 2 brand new cards. So you can bottom deck a card that's dead in your hand that you don't want or want back in the deck for some reason, and then draw 2 new cards. It's great. Standard super combo that most decks run this kind of card, and we only run 3 because the next card is our secret rare, being Gohan and Piccolo Newfound Might. Now yellow got this amazing secret rare. When it first got released, people were a little bit iffy about it because of the fact that not only does it take up your secret rare slot, but it also takes up your super combo slot. But the fact that with how easy it is for yellow decks to get Basil Life, the one that once your opponent's got 5 or more cards in rest mode, it can use that activate main to become a Nightingale dual attacker. And that card is very easy to pull off, so is this as well, because all you need is your opponent to have 5 cards in rest mode, which being a yellow deck, one of yellow's identities is resting cards, so like resting your opponent's stuff. And your opponent just playing cards, using their energy, things like that, swinging with cards, can put things in rest mode to make this down for a 0 cost. And that's because it is a 5 cost 30k super combo, so a huge super combo, and a nice way because just this on its own can allow you to out combo the 8-drop Gogeta swing. So the 8-drop Gogeta in SS4 Gogeta, you can out combo that attack with just this 1 card. And being a 40k means that you can't use that card to run over this because it's a 40k and they can't combo when they swing with that card. And we should go over the effects of the card so you understand why it's going to be combo for free and why that 5 cost on the combo is not that bad. And that's because it's got 2 permanents. First one is how you reduce the cost, which is for each card in your opponent has in rest mode, you reduce the combo cost of this card in your hand by 1. So every time they put a card in rest mode, which you can even set up more cards in rest mode swinging your lead if you want to do it offensively, you can reduce the cost of this by 1. So once your opponent has 5 or more cards in rest, this becomes a 0 cost 30k super combo, which is fantastic. And it's got the same permanent as most secret rares have nowadays, and that even comes with the ultimate tag, which when is this card removed from your battle area is removed from the game instead. But then ultimate already does that, so that's fine. And it's got 2 really nice effects, where if your leader card is yellow, a Son Gohan Adolescence or Piccolo card, so ours being yellow meets that criteria, At the end of a battle, which this card is using a combo from your hand, you get to play this card from your drop area. And then that triggers his other alter, which is when this card is played or attacks, you draw one card, then choose up to one of your opponent's unison cards or battle cards, which is the rest mode. So not only do you get to rest more cards, you get to defend quite easily and rest more things, and you still get the draw from it because you're going to play it out and draw a card and rest a card. And aggressively, you can draw 2 cards off this. This super combo that draws 2 cards, while giving you a big beat stick as well. Because you'll normally, if you're playing it aggressively, you'll combo this off to go to a huge swing. Play out the card, draw a card, rest something, dead swing with it, draw a card and rest something, which is very nice. So even though it does take out both a super combo and a secret rest slot, having those slots combined together to reduce deck space means you can keep your deck at 50 and still tech in all the stuff you want to tech, which is what is a nice little benefit of it. And at the moment, it's probably the best super combo, or no, not best secret rare yellow has, and it's a very, very strong one that might be around for a good while. Then we have some rarer cards. First off, we go into our first non-yellow card, and that is 1 copy of Poutine. It's very easy to rest cards in this, especially with the lead effect. Just swing, tap one of your cards to rest all your opponent's non-energy cards. So it's very easy to pull off, and this just gives it extra bit of control and disruption against your opponent. And then we have 1 copy of Mirror Crate Absorbed. So this goes really well with Oolong, which we'll see in a bit, because this card can just come down for 1 as long as you've got warp 4 more cards from your drop area, because it's overrun 4 for 1 energy. Has the flex, so it can't be stopped from coming down, which is really nice. And it's got a really nice effect in we ignore the first auto because that's all revolved around if you bring out by a union skill, which we don't in this, we just overrun it. And this card has a second auto, which is the benefit of playing this as the overrun choice. By when this card attacks, this card gains 5k power for each card in your warp for the turn. So the more cards you got in your warp, the stronger it gets, and a bit 30k base already, and just by having at least 4, it's going to go up to a minimum of 50, and the more you have, the more it swings for. And the good thing about Oolong, which you're going to see, is you can copy the power after it's swung, because it's just for the turn, to get 2 big huge swings. So it's normally how you're going to fish out games if you see it. And that is all the battle cards. So we're not running the Bergamo Weaver as well, because Bergamo at that moment in this format, even though it is very strong in the fact that you can rest 2 cards down and be brought out very easy in this deck, paying 2 to rest 2 energy isn't that strong when your energy is very key to use. You got to make sure you're using your energy effectively, and paying 2 to pay out just a 20k the rest 2 energy is not that great. It's not that great because all you're doing is paying down a 20k. It doesn't really do much, which isn't. That's why we have to cut that from the deck as well. Then for extra cards, we have 1 copy of Powder Super 7. This card is limited for a reason because it's that strong, and so we're always going to play that 1 copy. So as either just 1 cost negate if need be, or an extra way to rest cards, just filter for your deck as well with activate battle, where if your leader is mono red, you draw 1 card and choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards or unisons, which is the rest mode, and then you can't activate any more activate battle skills on copies of this card for the turn, but this America's limited. And if you've got 1 mono yellow energy in active mode, you can activate this card to activate battle for skill for free because of its permanent. So this is a really nice one to just help you a bit of disruption, draw through a bit more, or just use it as a 1-drop negate if need be. So if it's limited for reasons, we're going to at least play that 1 copy that we can. And then we go on to the last 3 extra cards of the deck. So I am playing Free Release from Evil because this card is just fantastic. The fact that it can just, whatever a card's attacking, you can just choose Ignore and Barrier and negate skills for the turn. Now the only card it doesn't really affect is the any card like the old Victory Strike, which can't have its skills negated, and things like SS4 and Gogeta, which is unaffected by anything that's not that character. This is really nice. Just it really punishes some decks that rely on effects to trigger at the end of the turn, because you can just shut a card off, especially if your opponent's swing with a triple strike. You just go, nah, it loses its skills negated, so as long as triple strike, and potentially take the hit as a single strike, or turn off skills so you can then not have to worry about them turning off effects. So if your opponent's playing things like Gamma or SS3 and they attack with the lead, you can shut off the effects. At the end of the turn, their effects aren't going to trigger to gain an advantage or untap or anything like that. So you play 3 copies of this because this can play for free if you've got a yellow unison on board. And yeah, and we're going to put a unison out and protect it because it's going to be preying out our explosive spirits on Gokus. So it's nice to have 3 copies of these. And the fact it can be for free is very nice. Then we have 2 copies of Tyrannical Blow. I put this in the main because sometimes Cooler is a bit too costly for some small little floodgates some decks might have. And Tyrannical Blow has a nice little thing of not only just shutting off their floodgate they might play, that's free or less, but also you get to negate the skills on one of their battle cards or unison cards they got in play as well. So if you go to swing and they play a counter play, you can then negate the skills on the card coming in, as long as it doesn't have deflect, and then choose one of the other battle cards or unisons and neg their skills for the turn as well to just shut that off, so you have to deal with anything annoying. And we play 2 copies of this because I said sometimes Corner is a bit too expensive and you might just want to pay 1 energy to negate, basically to stop a floodgate instead of paying 3. And as well as that, the last card we have is 3 copies of our Token Negate, Freeze's Army Reinforcement, because it's very good. We can also put ourselves down to 5 quite easily because we've got the SSB Goku, Vegeta, in the deck, in the Z deck, that you can have at any time for just 1 energy to put yourself down from 6 to 5, because our lead unfortunately awakens it down to 6, not down to 5. So you put yourself down to 5 so you can have this live. And we play 3 copies because it's just very good negate, and it's more extra cards they make for Mecha Frieza, have its cost reduced down to 1. So that is the list. That is the main deck list. I would run 4 finals. Wanted to run. I just didn't have all my release from evils for the tournament. But this is the list I would take and play going forward. And then we get into the Z deck, and one of my favourite parts of the deck is the Z deck, and we've got the side as well. So you've got 1 copy of the Z leader because it's just very nice. If you go down the 3, you can awaken by paying 1 and send a Goku, Great Ape Son Goku from your drop to your warp to play it on top of your lead to make your lead a base 20k crit. So now you lose the effect to rest cards now with your lead, but you're a 20k base with critical, and it only costs 2 Z energy and 1 yellow, as well as being at 3 or less life. Then you gain now an auto, and this is why we still include 2 Bulmas, because the auto is now choose one of your cards which is the rest mode, and then when this card attacks you play it to 1 yellow Bulma with energy cost of 1 from your hand or drop, so you'll be playing those 1 drop Bulmas out, and that Bulma will then be a counter at the draw and plus be 15k because you'll be on your Z lead as well. And also it has a way to kind of finish off with double strike. You don't have to worry about having Champa in, because if active battles once per turn, place 1 of your Z energy in its drop and remove 1 of your Son Goku charted cards in your drop from the game, and this card gains 10k power and double strike for the battle, and at the end of the battle you remove this card from the game. So get rid of finish, or even defend if you really need it. So play 1 copy of that because it's not often you're going to go into more than 1 copy of this card. But then we do play 4 copies of the SSB Son Goku Evolved Defender, and this is one of my favourite cards of the deck and one of the main reasons I really like this deck and play it at the moment. And that's because it is, well, for starters, it's a 25k free drop deflect barrier card that requires 2 Z energy, so very low Z energy cost of just 2, and you can really just keep looping a Z energy every turn to get the energy for this. And it's really nice because where the leader, when it swings, it you rest 1 of your cards to then rest all your opponent's non-energy cards, and non-energy means battle cards, field cards, unison cards, and leader cards. And this card is very nice to bring out from turn 3 onwards, just every turn to keep dropping 1, just for this first auto, which is when this card is played, you choose up to 1 of your opponent's leader cards, unison cards, or battle cards in rest mode, and it can't attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it's really nice to just, if your opponent's leader is one of those that needs to swing to gain an effect, to gain advantage, to gain cards, you can play this out, choose their lead, swing with your lead, rest their make sure their lead's rested if it's not ready, and then play this out to choose their leader and make it so it can't attack during your next turn. So next turn it can't attack with less 1 less attack you have to worry about from their leader, and also less draw power they're getting for not being able to swing with the lead. And then you've got this 25k barrier guy you can keep swinging with, and if you swing with it as well and have it in rest mode, you've got the ever auto being live, where if this card is in rest mode, when your opponent plays a card, you may place 1 of your Z energy units in his drop, and if you do, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards, switch to rest mode and get your skill for the turn. So you've got a nice extra bit of disruption as well, so if they go play something, put it in rest mode so you don't have to worry about attacking. So to put a and as long as it doesn't have a barrier, it can choose that. And it doesn't have to be the card come into play, it's any card. So if they've got a Unison on in play and they play something small like a cantrip, you can go, okay, use this to rest a Unison, don't worry about that attack either. And also the good thing about this is you can play it turn after turn to just keep stopping their leader card from being able to attack, to stop them from gaining advantage, while it's just bringing out loads of barrier deflect cards, because once you use one, it makes a leader can't attack, the leader can't attack, so it won't be in rest. But luckily your leader can just then swing, rest one of your cards, rest the leader again, play out another one to keep locking the leader down. You can do it 4 turns straight in a row. Once you get to turn 3, just keep their leader from not being able to swing. But do watch out, because if some decks have a Z lead, they can just drop on the Z lead afterwards, or after you've locked it down, to not be able to worry about it. So be careful of that. And then we have the other two. So first one be Oolong, and Oolong is really nice when it goes with Mirror, because Mirror's effect, when it swings, it gains that power until the end of the turn, so it gains for the whole turn, it keeps that big boost it gets. And Oolong's a really nice one where it's unique, just requires 1 energy and 2 Z energy, and his activate main is once per turn you choose up to one battle card in play, so either player's battle card that's in play, ignoring barrier, and this card's power becomes the chosen card's power at the time you use it with the skill, and at the start of your opponent's next turn, this card's power becomes 4k. So essentially what it means is after you drop Mirror and swing with it, and it become like something up to like potentially 100k, you can then bring out Oolong, use the activate main to choose Mirror, become the same power as Mirror as after it swung, and so it's like a massive amount, like 100k, and then swing with Oolong, you've got a 1-drop card that's got a huge amount of power to help finish off games as well. And yeah, then we got the SSB Vegeta to help get yourself down from a life total if you need to get yourself down from 6 to 5 for your token to get to be live, or from 4 to 3 if you want to have access to your Z lead. Then in the side deck we got a few nice little cards in here. We have Vegeta Unison Fury to help deal with big things swinging early. You can take out your Unisons, put these in instead, so that way you can drop this down, rest stuffing as well. One of your cards that then you don't have to worry about restanding. Like remember, the Yamcha is only restands from a leader card rest, but you can rest your other cards to just gain effects and stuff of them, or even be able to like rest your Ape to gain a marker. So you can do this -1, and then go ahead and swing the lead, use the Yamcha to restand the Ape, and draw more cards, which is very nice. Then you got Trunks of Cunning to help shut off decks that want to restand on their turn. So against that nice little combo that 7Q and other decks have, where they play out the 6-drop Goku to ramp, play out the secret rare to restand all their energy, and then play out Turn the Tide. Trunks of Cunning helps put a stop to that, and every colour has one. The only thing you'll remember with Trunks of Cunning is it cannot be searched off the leader's front side, because it's not an Earthling only, because it's an Earthling Saiyan, so be wary of that. But it's still a nice little 1-drop that you can have against those kind of strategies. Then you've got a nice little counter in Bulma Devoted Supporter as well, and this is searchable off the league because it's just an Earthling. And there's a nice little counter play where if your leader is mono yellow and you have a Unisoning card in play, which you're most likely going to have, if the battle card being played has energy cost of 2 or less, it has its skills negated for the turn before being played, then play this card. So if you want extra counter plays, this like stop the effects and stuff, this is a really nice one and gives you at least a 5k, and also is a card to combo with your lead as well. So this one has a little more reliance for having use on board than Tyrannical Blow does, but Bulma is then a 5k combo as well if need be, go with the strategy, and searchable for your lead if you need it, whereas Tyrannical Blow isn't searchable. Then you got Mataito to help deal with some big cards. It's a nice little counter play, plus it's also it's not searchable from the lead because it's not an Earthling only, it's an Earthling World Tournament. So it's not unfortunately searchable off your lead, but it's a really nice one, just where when you can use it to stop big things that are hard on energy from being played. It can't fit the SS4 Vegeta, but other things you can play it as long as it doesn't, even if it's got barrier, switch it into rest mode as well, which is really nice. And we got 2 copies of Son Goku Absolute Annihilation, just to help against any decks that are extra card heavy, reliant, really nice. And one card I like to put into the side, I was maining it but found it not as useful, is Underworld Champion. This is more just if you're playing against any hand control deck, you can pop these in to gain more power, because you're going to get out quite a few Goku childhood cards, and this is a nice little extra card. It adds to the this card adds nicely to the strategy, by just having Goku out, draws 2 cards and adds more to Mecha as well, being an extra card. You can then use the gain cards and make Mecha be less costly. And then 2 copies of Final Flash if you just need barrier, like barrier ignorance, to just run through barrier and not worry too much. And yeah, 2 copies out to get that power as well. So that's the list. And normally when you're playing, you're going to be going turn 1, just basically charging, trying to look at top 10 to find your Yamcha, or at least any cantrips you can play it straight away turn 1. Normally either Yamcha or Chi-Chi, so that way you've got at least one with barrier to keep there and not be removed very easily. And Yamcha is the one you're going to maybe want to find, so you can get that extra searching because it goes really well with your lead. And then turn 2, try and find, use the effect to find some more, maybe try and see if you can find your Unison. And then turn 2, you can then awaken, after, play the Bulma, then awaken, so you can get that Bulma to play out free play out a free drop. And then you can either go dropping Slug, if you got the Slug, if you're able to get the 1 drop in the free drop out, drop the Slug as well. Now a little bit of protection with the Unison by having Release from Evil and other cards to defend yourself. Or keep the energy open from Mecha, like 1 energy open from Mecha, and potentially play 1 Goku to Lands Unknown as well. And over time, from turn 3 onwards, it depends what you have to play and what you want to do. You can either try to get a Slug out if you don't have to Slug out already. Play the 8 and just put a little bit of pressure that way, or get the free drop out from the Z deck to then lock the leader down and keep that leader down. Now if your opponent has a leader that doesn't need to attack to gain advantage, then the free drop isn't as great as just locking things down in that regards, but then can lock down other things attacking, like stop the units from attacking, or a battle card from attacking, while also being a card that help disrupt as well. So it comes down from turn 3 onwards what you've got available to you and how you want to proceed with the game depending on the leader and the match really. But that is it for this list. I hope that's useful and I hope you enjoy it. It was a very fun list and a very fun deck, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So once again, thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.